This is a real-time video on how I draw or paint a landscape that shows depth. So we're going to draw some really quick hills so that you can understand depth. So the further away you look, the lighter it is, the more it's part of the sky, and the closer it comes up, the more you see the trees and the more details and the darker it becomes. So I'm going to start with a blue sky. I'm going to blend in some white. This is phthalo blue and white. And I'm just kind of mixing it on the, on the canvas as I go. And I kind of want the dark sky to be at the top. That's my preference. It can be any color you'd like. Then I want to blend in a little bit of white as I come down to make it a little bit lighter. Now, what I'm going to do here is go ahead and blend it in pretty smooth and get down to about, so it goes behind my hills. I'm going to take a very little bit of black and white and mix it with my lightest blue color that I used in the sky. And I'm going to use that color for the faraway hills because the faraway hills actually use some of that blue sky color to blend it in. I'm just going to go ahead and paint these in just where I think I want my hills. You can put them anywhere you'd like. I will have a tracer on here if you want to put your hills in the same place. And I'm just going to do a really light coat. These are way in the background. And I'm going to kind of blend it into that blue sky. And I don't really want it to be too rough on top because from a distance you're not going to really see the trees. At least not as far as this is. And then I'm going to go ahead and carry it over, and I'll just put the hills all the way across using that same kind of the grayish blue color. And again, these are really light, kind of blending into the sky a little bit, so it looks like they continue on even further. And I'm just going to flatten them out a little bit, give myself a line. Now for the next coat, you're going to go just a little bit darker. So I'm going to add just a little bit more black into that gray color. And I will decide where I want to put my hills. As I look at it, I'll just go ahead and paint it in. And now with a little darker color. Oh, it wasn't dark enough. It was a little green. So a little darker color of that blue-gray. And we're going to go ahead and put that in here. We're going to draw in our next, paint in our next layer of hills that are closer. And again, these will be darker. And they'll be a little more rough because at this point you can kind of see a little bit of the trees kind of popping up every now and then. You can even paint in trees if you'd like here. But I'm going to go so many layers. I didn't really want to put trees. I just kind of wanted everyone to see the hills in the distance through various layers. So this again is just a little bit darker, and see how that's bringing it in closer. And I'm going to go ahead and let's make it a little bit darker because we're bringing in even closer. And I'm going to add a little bit more black here. Maybe a little bit of blue to make it a little bit more colorful. And again, I'm just going to kind of lay out where I think I want my hills to be. And I live in the Texas Hill Country, so we see this quite frequently. And I'm going to go ahead and paint these in, the darker hills in the front. See, it's almost it's a dark gray. It's not, it looks a little black on here, but it is just a dark gray. I don't use straight black for any of these, and I'm going to paint them in where I think I'm going to see the hills coming closer. Now you can see it's starting to form, right? The further back it is, the lighter it is. It's part of the sky. The closer it comes, the darker it is, the more you can see. I'm going to go ahead and add green. And for the rest of this, I'm just going to make it a very dark green color. And this will be my foreground that I want to use. And again, I am dragging this up into the hills to give it more, even one more layer of hills. The green will also be a layer of hills, and they're just closer. And that's why they are more a green color instead of a gray color. So we're going to go ahead and paint all this in with the dark green. Give a little bit of color so that you're standing at the base of the hills here. And this will give you, 4 good layers of hills. And actually, if you look at it, it looks like more than 4 layers of hills. It looks like the hills go way back in there. Part of the sky is in the clouds, or in the hills. Kind of looks a little foggy. And I'm just going to darken it up just a little bit because I do want it darker in the front rather than a bright green. And that is my choice just because I chose it to be a darker looking. And then I'll paint in the trees after this. Oops. So I'm going to go ahead and get my dark color painted all the way down. My canvas doesn't quite fit on this easel. I need a different easel for this one because it's a small canvas. And you can see the green. Now it's starting to turn a lot more green towards the bottom. So I used that really dark green and then I lightened it up as I came towards the bottom. Now I'm just going to grab a regular flat brush and dip it into green. And I just want to dab in some trees to show you the closeness. So whenever they're really close, everything is much lighter because you can actually see what you're looking at up close. And this will actually make the hills in the distance look further away. And so I'm just dabbing in some really quick trees. We're going to use a light green. It's actually, it's like a foliage green, and I'll get that color for you. But I'm just dabbing them in here, and we're going to put in a few trees to bring it up close. And so as you can tell, the further away it is, the lighter it is, the grayer it is, the less detail. As you bring it closer, it just gets darker and darker. And then, of course, right in front of you, it's more detailed and more colorful to what you want it to be. And so we're seeing the bright green trees. It's like we're right here at the tree level. And so we're going to go ahead and paint in 3 or 4 little trees here up close. And as you can see, it makes those hills in the background look much further away. And again, I'm just using a flat brush. I'm just kind of tapping the brush on the canvas. I just kind of wanted to look like trees. I'm not getting too detailed. And this was just for just a quick landscape. I mean, you can paint this and frame it and stick it on a wall and it'll look great. Because in your mind, you see the trees that are there in more detail than what I'm painting. I'm just tapping it on there. And see how it's bringing it a lot closer now, and I'm kind of overlaying them. So it looks like there's layers of trees in front of us, kind of a thick forest with the hills in the background. And I'm letting it end at the bottom of the canvas just without showing the bottom of the trees. So we're kind of we're kind of in the height of the trees. And I put this one a little taller and a little lighter to kind of bring everything in a little bit closer to us. And again, I'm just tapping it in. And this is just that light green with nothing else mixed into it. And as it dries, acrylic paint does get darker. So you can see on the left, my trees are starting to dry and kind of becoming a little bit darker, not standing out quite as much, which is great. And this one, we'll just put in a little one. He kind of looks like he's a little further away, actually. And put him in here. And again, I'm just tapping it in. You can see it's bright, but as it dries, it does get darker. Now, I wanted to kind of add another little tree, and then I kind of wanted to add trees in the background as well because I thought my hills, at this point, I'm looking at my hills, they look a little flat. And so I'm going to finish up these trees here. I'm going to bring them on down to the bottom so that the bottom is full of the limbs and tree. So I'm going to take that really dark color again, not the really dark greenish black color. And on the right-hand side, I think I want a few trees, just far away trees to give it a little bit more personality, a little texture. So I'm going to take the really dark color. I'm starting off and it just wasn't dark enough. So I'm going to go ahead and take that really dark color and just touch the canvas right here on this hill that would be probably closest to me. And I'm just going to touch it to give it a little bit of texture to look like trees are popping up over the top of that. And then I'm going to go ahead and blend in and make it kind of flat underneath. So it looks like they're coming right off the top of that hill. And as I'm painting these, I'm going to go ahead and carry it all the way over the hill. And as I'm just dabbing these in, and maybe even a little bit more back there, just to kind of show a little bit of texture on the top of those hills, back in the back, and then through the trees. And then as I'm painting these in, I'm going to go ahead and paint the bottom of it kind of flat. But as I'm dragging the paint across, you can see where the black kind of shows up a little bit. And it gives this foreground even a little more texture. Even though it's not as close as the bright green trees, you can see a little bit more of the hill and more detail of the hill. And really, this is about as simple as it gets. And this is a great, super easy, quick landscape that you can paint yourself. Again, I will put a tracer, but these hills are really nice if you just freehand them and decide what you want.